Let me just give you a few little tests. What color is that?
Red.
So that's an A and you're seeing it red.
Yes.
And then
Blue.
blue.
Emma Anders doesn't see numbers and colors the way most people do.
The A isn't the same red that it
Normally is.
even when I look at it horizontally.
She has a rare brain condition called synesthesia that merges her senses.
It's actually blue. Ooh. Gray and white at the end.
Certain foods taste like shapes and colors, while certain numbers appear as a specific color and even have personalities.
2 and 3 are friends. 4 is kind of an interesting person, a friendly person, but prefers to be alone.
For decades, scientists wrote this condition off as a psychological anomaly, while others have disregarded it altogether.
Let's try something else.
The award-winning neuroscientist V.S. Ramachandran couldn't disagree more. For him, inside the minds of synesthetes like Emma lies a greater understanding of how our brains work.
It's well known that in science, sometimes something that seems like an anomaly or oddity can drive wholly new directions of research, can drive scientific revolutions. Synesthesia is just a quirky little phenomena. So what we did was bring these people into the laboratory, study them intensively. What we found was they can give you valuable clues towards understanding how the normal brain engages in creative linking of seemingly unrelated ideas. Now, did I ever tell you what's going on in your brain?
What he found was that the area in our brains that processes numbers happens to be right next to the area that processes colors. In synesthetes, the neurons firing to those areas are getting mixed up and causing an unnatural association. Furthermore, he noticed that creative people are 8 times more likely to develop synesthesia and concluded that this cross-wiring can potentially explain how the brain forms metaphors.
When I say it is the east and Juliet is the sun, you don't say Juliet is a glowing ball of fire. You say she's warm like the sun, nurturing like the sun, radiant like the sun, so on and so forth. You form the right links. So you start with this quirky phenomenon, and it takes you all the way up to metaphor and Shakespeare and creativity.
Dr. Ramachandran's research with unusual brain conditions has led him to a number of important insights in the fields of synesthesia, visual perception, stroke rehabilitation, and autism. It has also landed him a spot on Time's list of the 100 most influential people of the year, where the director of the National Institute of Mental Health, Thomas Insel, wrote, "With his simple, creative, and innovative ideas, V.S. Ramachandran is changing how our brains think about our minds." Dr. Ramachandran's creativity sprouted as a kid growing up in India. He says he wasn't much of a partier, opting instead to spend his free time scouring the local beach for unique seashells.
If you're not a very social person, you feel like you can retreat into a private world where you're king. I had this Victorian mentality, and I was interested in archaeology, anthropology, paleontology, all of these things. And of course, brain science was something that was, when I went to medical school, that was the nearest equivalent to doing archaeology or something like that. So I homed in on brain science.
Ramachandran's curious sensibility led him to study a previously unexplained condition called phantom limb pain, a chronic pain some amputees feel in a missing limb. He discovered this pain was a symptom of brain confusion. Nerve signals were still being sent from the limb, but the mind lacked any visual feedback. He wondered what would happen if he could somehow fill the missing image.
And I started thinking about it, and I said, well, maybe you can do it with a mirror. And again, I was doing it more out of curiosity, and I was amused by the whole idea. But then when I tried it, I was astonished. But even more than I was astonished, the patient was astonished and was jumping up and down like a kid saying, "My God, doctor, for the first time in 10 years, I can actually start moving my phantom." That's the patient's phantom arm. Of course, in my case, it's a real arm. And the phantom arm is here. The real arm is here.
Ramachandran had entered the field of clinical rehabilitation with a splash.
This phantom, which was immobilized and paralyzed and painful, now looks like it's moving again.
Over the last decade, this $3 therapy has relieved countless amputees of phantom limb pain, not to mention launched his career.
Our arm is back.
He doesn't even mind that TV's favorite medical curmudgeon, House, took credit for it in a recent episode.
Relaxed. Thank you.
Up and then down.
Mirror therapy is now being put into practice around the world. At the Rusk Institute of Rehabilitation Medicine in New York City, Mark Constantino has been using the mirror for almost a year. his pain has significantly subsided.
Right away when they suggested it, I didn't see the point. But after doing a demonstration, I got the point immediately.
If you cured or treated one patient in your life who suffered from lifelong pain, chronic pain, it immobilizes him, brings him to tears. If you cured one such patient, you sort of feel your life has been worthwhile.
These days, Ramachandran doesn't seek out subjects for his research. They come to him. In a way, he is the real-life house of neuroscience, a sort of medical detective. It's a reputation, he says, he won't shy away from, as long as it continues to fuel his curiosity.
People fly out here from Sydney or from New York and come here and say, can you find out what's going on in my brain? And can you help me? And a lot of the time we cannot, no matter what we do. But sometimes we're successful, and that makes it all worthwhile.